What's going on, everybody? Thanks a lot for stopping by my channel today. This video is going to be a little different than the other ones. This one is going to be something that's been requested for a while, and I also think that it's going to be very beneficial to a lot of people. What it's going to be is how I specifically do a dual PC streaming and gaming setup, meaning I can record my entire gameplay, okay? I can stream my gameplay, all the sounds, everything like that from two separate computers. So any questions, anything like that, please leave them in the comments. I'm going to try to be as descriptive as possible, but at the same time, I want to make a very specific video for my setup. So let me know if I can help you out in any way. Here we go. Before I go any further, I do want to mention that I am live on Twitch 5 nights a week. I try to be very consistent with that. Also grinding out as much content as possible on obviously YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, anything that you might want to be interested in on my socials. Please follow, check me out while I'm live. I really appreciate it. So the first thing I want to talk about is that you don't necessarily need to have two PCs in order to stream and record and all that good stuff, you know, and have high quality content. I do this because I really enjoy having just raw performance on one computer and untouched, nothing is affected at all, because I'm able to use my other computer to do all the encoding and recording and sound and all that other kind of stuff. So you don't have to, it just makes it a lot better for performance. That's my reasoning behind it. One reason why I wanted to make this video is because I have such a weird setup as far as streaming and recording. I used to look up things like this all the time in order to get my stuff correctly because I wanted to do it like this, but it's so weird. What I mean by weird is that I have a 1440p monitor. It's not 1080p. I like to play in 240 hertz, but I have two different computers, right? And the other one doesn't necessarily play in 240, so I have to like play in one in 240 and not record in 240. Super complicated to get that working, at least until I figured it out anyway. And then the next thing is like the sound. It's like, how do you get sound from one computer? How do you make it so this microphone goes into both computers? How do I make it so I can hear both computers in my headset? You know what I mean? There's a lot that goes into it. That's the reason I'm making this video. I hope I can help some of you guys out. Before we get any further in the video, I do want to say it's like 2 in the morning right now. I have to work here in like 5 hours. I'm probably going to fall asleep and finish this video at another time. If you see any lightings change, anything different, clothing, whatever, that's why. Okay. So first things first, guys, I just kind of want to show you, how I do my setup. This is my whole setup right here. I have a behind, the person camera right here. You can see I have a computer right down here. This is my gaming computer. I have a computer right down here on this side. This is my streaming computer. And I have 3 monitors and 1 monitor up top. Just kind of wanted to show you that. So whenever I'm describing something, you'll understand what I'm talking about. For instance, whenever I go back to this screen, you notice there is a monitor in this, window. We're not really going to be talking about that one. It's just an additional monitor that I use. Has nothing to do with any of these settings. All right, so now that we got that most of that out of the way, I want to say real quick, this monitor you won't really pay attention to. This is where I just have the stats of my computer that I'm gaming on and my Discord so I can talk to the people, in the chat. Okay. And on this side, I have usually my Twitch chat, my Twitch browser, whatever I'm using in order to read the chat and or, change the title of the stream, anything like that. Up top, I usually have my OBS, which is the software that I use to record, which I'm going to show you guys a lot of this, how this usually works. Now, that being said, just because I have it set up like this, I might move things around just for recording purposes to kind of show you how it works. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to try to get your picture, right, that you're gaming on to your other monitor, to your OBS in order to capture that footage, okay? So the way I do that is I use what's called a capture card. I use the 4K Mark II from Elgato. The second version they've come out with of this 4K capture card. I use it because you're able to choose between 1080p, 1440p, and 4K. And then you can also, bypass the amount of hertz that it usually can output. So like 60 hertz, you can get up to like 240. It won't record at that. But you can make it so it's unaffected where your gameplay is at 240 hertz or whatever number you're looking for. And then if you want it to be just a 60, which that's all Twitch runs at, then you are good to go. So that's how I do it. I duplicate my screen using the capture card. So now go into this screen right here, is just my regular desktop. What I usually do in order to duplicate it, like I said, is you go into your display settings here, okay? You can also do it with your NVIDIA control panel. Doesn't really matter. There's multiple ways to do this as long as you get it done, with the same, end result. So the way this works is the capture card that I use, it actually registers that as another screen. So if you look in here, it says I'm duplicating screen 1 and 3. It's not a screen. My other screen is 2. That's the one over here, right? The one with all the stats. Doesn't matter. That's by itself. And then 1 and 3. So 1 is the one I'm playing on. 3 is the capture card. So, you can go in there and you can kind of, advanced display settings. You can kind of see and make sure how it all works. At the end result, you're going to want to make sure after you duplicate them that, look, this is the one I play on. This is the Elgato. Okay. Boom. You can see Elgato. It's set to the correct resolution. The refresh rate will not matter. Okay. That's not going to matter at all, even though it says 144. Go back to your monitor, and then it's at 239, which is the same thing as 240, and then the same resolution. You're good to go. All right, guys. So once again, the way you do this, really, really easy. You're right here. It shows all 3 of your displays. You scroll down, and then it says multiple displays. Go to this drop down, and then you got all these different options. You want to duplicate on the one that is your screen and the capture card. That's how you do that, okay? One thing I want to be clear about real quick is I know it said 2560 times 1440p was the resolution. That is just my monitor. That's why I like this capture card so much. It allows you to do anything from 1080p up to 4K. So if yours is 1920 by 1080, which is just regular 1080p, then make sure that's what the settings are on both the capture card and your monitor. Okay, so that applies to whatever resolution your monitor is. Okay, little different for everyone. I just want to make sure I clarify that step. All right, guys, this screen's a little weird. I'm sure you've seen it before, but it's a little bit complicated to show my OBS screen and the gameplay at the same time if I'm not doing it on the same computer. So I'm just going to kind of show you how this works, right? Right now, this is how I would do it. I duplicated my screen like we talked about. I'm going to go in here and add a source. Now, I already have this on another window, so we're going to make this really easy. You go to video capture device, because that is what the 4K Pro Mark II, that's what this is right here, under a capture device. Select that, hit go, boom. Now, obviously, this is the wrong screen size. We can mess with that later. But you basically are going to take this, and that is now my gameplay. Covers up my face a little bit. You guys know what's going on, though. I'm just duplicating my screen, so everything you see here happens there. Now, one thing I will mention, I'm not really going to go over it in detail in this video, is obviously you can change the layers. You can put my face on top of this, whatever. I usually have it in a much different format, like so. You can kind of adjust how you want to do it and everything, make it very personable. The reason why I wanted to show you that screen is just so you could specifically see my OBS and how I add the video capture device. All right, guys, so this next screen is going to be how I get my sound. Okay, sound is a little bit different for everybody. I'm just going to let you know how I do it. I know there's multiple different ways. So for me, I use what's called the Go XLR. Not sure if you've heard of it before. Basically, it's just an audio mixing device that is both in an app and a physical device on my desk here. So I'm able to, use different cords and whatnot in order to connect the 2 different computers together and have them play both back and forth, and I can hear and talk back and forth with the mic and the headphones, and everything's great. So here you can see in this app, I'm not going to go into detail about every single cord, but this does have a routing tab where it shows you exactly how everything is going to be broadcasted out. Now in my OBS, I have but one single thing that makes sound. Okay, a lot of people have multiple different things. I'll show you real quick what I mean. This is on my other screen. Yeah. Oh, goodness gracious. You can see right here, I just have what's called Stream Mix Go XLR. That's it. Now, I do have this thing above it. That's always like muted. Doesn't make any noise. It's just my camera. If you go back to this, Go XLR app, you can see this right here. So I have that. Everything I want to play on the stream, I have this check marked. So I want the mic, is what I'm talking with, the music, which is usually my Spotify. Now the console is what I'm using, something a little bit different. Console is something that doesn't necessarily have to be check marked or not check marked, so don't pay attention to that. The next one is line in. So line in is going to be my headphones, whatever my headphones hear. Right, so if that's my PC, my gaming PC, whether it's the voices that I hear or the gameplay, the footsteps and whatnot, that's all of that. So be broadcasted to the streaming PC. The system is the streaming PC. So like any OBS noise, any YouTube video I might watch on my streaming computer to show the stream, anything like that, that's all right there. So that's kind of like gaming, streaming. Kind of really simple, not too crazy. And then samples, that's just little things like little buttons you can push to make noises, things like that. Nothing too crazy, but that's basically how I get all of my sound on here. Now that being said, I know it's not super easy to go out and get one of these Go XLRs. They do have a cheaper version, which I'd recommend looking into if you're having trouble with your audio. This makes it so easy for your audio. One more thing I want to go over real quick that I haven't talked about yet is how I get both my headphones and my microphone to go to both computers, right? I can hear everything that happens on my streaming computer and my gaming computer, as well as talk with my microphone and have it go to both. So this next part might seem a little confusing, but I promise you it's not. Basically, you can redo this software however you want. It might say one thing, but you don't necessarily have to use it. What I mean by that is a good example right here. So I have my headphones. It says headphones, right? And what that is usually whenever you talk, you have some sort of feedback to send back into your headset. You can hear what you sound like. I don't necessarily want to do it like that. I don't think it's necessary. I know it can be helpful in some reasons, but I'm not using it like that. So I send that voice that you're hearing, right? Set it to my headphones. I have a wire. There's a line out wire in the back of my Go XLR, and I feed that into my gaming computer. So that voice that usually plays in my headset actually just sends directly to my gaming computer. So in Discord and in the game, I just set it as my line out, or in that case, my line in for that computer. And that way you can hear my voice with this microphone directly on that computer. I just want to show you real quick, how this looks in my Discord, okay? Go to your user settings, you go to your voice and video, and then it says line in, just like I said. So I use the line in, which is really supposed to be in my earphones, but instead it gets sent to this computer. Really easy. Now let's go ahead and switch back to this other screen now. You guys understand how my microphone gets to the gaming computer. So it's the same situation, right? I want it to go to my streaming computer as well. So I'm going to check mark broadcast stream mix, just like I showed you earlier, bada bing, as well as chat mic. And that's going to send it exactly to where you want it. Anything that picks it up as a microphone on your streaming computer will register your voice, just like this. Very simple on the streaming computer. A little bit different to get it to the gaming computer. All right, guys. So now we know the basic things about how to get the video, the recording, all that kind of stuff as far as into OBS. The next thing I want to show you is exactly how I record and stream at the same time without them really messing with each other, right? So for my recording, I use NVIDIA NVENC. It's been changed a couple times on the name, but I believe that's what it's called now. That way, my GPU takes all the hit and has a really high quality recording. I can set it to like the max settings. And then to do my streaming, I actually have a pretty decent CPU. Has 16 cores, 32 threads. If you're interested in any of my specs, I will list everything for both of my computers in the description. Basically, I use that to do all the streaming, to handle all of the encoding for sending it out to Twitch, to the Twitch server, to then later be processed. And that is usually how I don't, let them interlock with each other, mess with each other in any way. I'll go ahead and show you some of those settings. And before we go into talk about those settings, as you can see, light change shirts, different day. I ended up falling asleep. Hope you guys understand that this takes me multiple days to do. I work a full-time job and it's not super easy to, dedicate a lot of time to this content. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's finish this off with showing you all my settings. So one thing I want to say real quick is that you can use NVIDIA Shadowplay if you're just doing this from one computer. Another reason why you still might want to use that if you're using two computers like myself is to get no overlay, no alerts, anything like that you might have on a Twitch stream, all my normal things like that. You don't want any of that. You just want the raw footage of the game. You don't want your voice, anything like that. You might want to use NVIDIA Shadowplay, but if you do want all those other features, that is the reason I'm using this way and why I'm showing you this way. So two different ways to go about it. I'm just showing you this one. You can see my OBS open right here. Some of these settings you're not going to be able to change if you have a streaming, active or your recording active like I do right now. That being said, you should still see every single one of the settings and exactly what they are. So you have this tab open. We're just going to go over them very quick. General, there's really not much you need to do here. I'm going to go ahead and skip this one. These things are something you might want to set up. You don't know how to set up OBS at all. I have considered making other videos like that. There's lots of information out there about that. So I'm just going to skip some of these tabs, just like the streaming tab as well. Now, when we go to the output tab, these are some settings that you might want to see. Real quick, I use CBR, which is constant bitrate, means it doesn't change at all. At least it tries to stay at one specific bitrate the whole time. I do 8,000. Okay. So one thing about this is a lot of people think, you know, Twitch can only stream at 6, which is true. There is a setting that you can uncheck / check mark in order to override that Twitch setting. Now, it doesn't go that much higher. It only goes to 8,000. That being said, I like 8,000. It's not crazy much better, but I like it a lot. So moving on here, you want to have your key interframes at 2. I've heard that from just about everywhere. I have my CPU running, right? I'm using X264, as you can see up there. I don't have a rescale output because my main canvas here on this monitor is 1920 by 1080. Everything's good to go on that, and that's what I want to stream at. So you go to medium. Okay, there's all these different things. I used to use slow. I've added so many different things to my stream as far as pop-ups and 4 cameras and so many different things. So I kind of put it back to medium. I think that's a little better. Still great quality. Profile I have on high. None for the tune and nothing right here as well. I know you can change this up. That being said, this is how I have it and it works out great. Always changes for other people's setup. So as you guys can see, all the things I've mentioned so far just for the streaming. If I want to record at the same time without it interfering with the streaming, encoding it all on my CPU, I actually use a completely different thing. Like I said earlier, it's the NVIDIA NVENC. Okay, not 100% sure how to say that. It's always different. Basically, if I'm ever recording something like the footage you're seeing now, it's used on my streaming PC, the 2070, which is inside of there, and it's using this software, right? I tell it to be a 1920 by 1080. I use just the regular NVENC software. I have a VBR, which is variable bitrate, right? And I have it a range between the 80,000 and the 100,000 range right there, okay? So it's one of those things you can really change this as much quality as you want. I have it same thing on 2, and then I have max quality right here and profile high. Now these two things, the look ahead and visual tuning, I can do it, provide information on those if you guys really want to know, but you can also just kind of hover and it kind of explains it. Basically, they just help out with the processing with everything. You have the GPU on 0 and max B frames 2. Okay. Now moving on from that tab, we have the audio. I have absolutely everything disabled, just like you saw earlier. Okay. The only thing I have enabled is that stream mix with my Go XLR. That way, every single thing, my mic, the gaming PC, streaming PC, the Spotify, every single thing is just in this one tab. It might seem a little weird, especially if you set up OBS before with multiple different sounds. That's just the way this software, Go XLR, works. It's actually very, very nice software. Now we keep on going down here. I stream in, like I said, 1920 by 1080, as I mentioned earlier. The canvas, 1920 is what my screen is. So nothing is rescaled at all. Everything is just about normal here. I use bicubic. That doesn't matter. I'm not using any of that in 60 FPS, okay? Hotkeys, none of that kind of stuff matters. I don't even use any of that because I do use the Stream Deck. Now we're going to the next, the final category here. It says advanced. So I have process priority on high. You can just kind of see all these things. These are just, you set this video one to whatever your capture card is most of the time. At least that's what I did, and it worked out great for me. So it's 709 NV12 direct 3D11 partial. These things can change depending on the setting you have. I'm just showing you what I have. Scroll down here. I don't really do any of these. Nothing I really mess with here, and that's basically the end of all my settings. Like I said, I have it completely separate. So my gaming is recorded, with my NVENC graphics card, and my streaming, for the gameplay as well, is streamed out to Twitch for it to be processed by Twitch for my CPU, which is completely separate processing, and so they don't mess with each other at all. Great performance, great quality on both videos being sent out. All right, guys, now so we're back to this screen. I just basically wanted to sum up everything. I will list absolutely everything in detail as far as my specs for both computers if you have any questions about that. If you have any, comments or anything you want to say, any other additional, info you might want to, use or look for, please ask me about it if I didn't cover something or wasn't specific enough. I've thought about doing this kind of videos for a little while now, and I want to see if this does well. If you guys enjoyed it, thank you so much. Remember that I did plug my Twitch earlier. I'm going to go ahead and plug it one more time. I also try to really focus hard on all the other social medias. If you guys wouldn't mind trying to give those a follow, stay up to date with what I do. Thank you so very much, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great rest of your evening.